What's up, y'all? This is a new thing I'm going to try. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be raw, no editing, no transitions, just going to be unfiltered thoughts for the most part. I have written zero script down. I've kind of talked about a little bit what I wanted to talk about, but yeah, there's not going to be no audio editing. So if you hear mouth clicks, you're just going to have to deal with it. For context, I'm Lauren. I'm a full-time professional voice actor. That's what I go by professionally as Lauren. Some people may know me as Trey. That's what everyone else in my life calls me. Um, but I wanted to talk about a few things. This isn't like a launch on the channel. This is going to be something that's hopefully a creative outlet for me and for people who do watch, if anyone does watch, a way for them to feel like they have some sort of space to maybe talk about the same things that I'm thinking and feeling. So for me, I wanted to talk about, in no particular order, mental health, general mental health in the voiceover industry, um, career growth, the industry as a whole, and just what's going on to kind of maybe give me a creative outlet. Creativity is probably one of the other ones I wanted to talk about. So, just for a little bit about me, I've been doing voiceover full time for probably about the whole time I've been doing it. I've been doing it full time, purely out of circumstance. I say that because a lot of people in the industry will be like, "Oh, you do it full time? Good for you." And I'm just like, "This is all I've ever known because this is all I ever had a chance to do." Um, and I got started in ways that I do not suggest for people because for those of you in the voiceover industry might also know, people tell like, "Oh, you tell them you're in voiceover." The first thing you want to do is say, "Oh, that's interesting. How do I get into it?" And they're like, "No, it's not sweet. It's not as easy as you think it is." And I say that because I got started doing like knowing nothing about the industry. I white knuckled in. Um, I had the like audio software that Audacity that everyone probably knows at this point. I had a little tiny computer that I used. I got some paneling that I put up in like the corner of my room, and my then girlfriend, which separate conversation, bought me a $100 microphone that ended up working for me for an extended period. Um, and so I started by doing basically 16-hour days, maybe even longer, because I didn't know what I was doing about voice editing. I didn't know, sorry, editing. I didn't know, like, I was so concerned about how I sounded. I didn't have headphones that were like studio quality. I didn't have a lot of different things. And so what I ended up doing was just, like I said, white knuckling through it. I didn't have good industry rates. Like I said, I didn't know any better. So the fact that I'm here, in fact, I've been doing it full time, it feels like a distant memory, but also feels very close. If that makes any sense. So I say all that to say, where I'm at now in my career feels, I've been saying this a lot, career purgatory. I'm at a space now where I'm having a difficult time seeing what I've accomplished, seeing where I want to go, seeing where I'm at now, and marrying them all and being happy and content, but also striving at the same time. So, for more context, right now where I'm at in my career, I'm non union, not FICOR. I have like 3 or 4 different agents, mostly all regional, one in LA, but one in LA. I have a manager, and this is born from, I had a earlier session with my management company, where they bring in a monthly person to kind of talk about the industry, you maybe read in front of them, and they did animation copy. Pardon me. Excuse me. No editing. You're gonna get that raw. They did animation copy, and animation for a lot of us is probably why we got into the industry. Animation, video games, there's a passion for character work. And I've had to learn a lot about, you can still have passion and get your emotion out and touch people in what my bread and butter is, which is commercial, corporate narration, those type of things. Um, and so doing this animation copy in front of this person, my pops is a New Yorker. He's blunt, but this man was also very blunt. And I feel like I'm trying to do my best, but he was honest about a lot of things that I've heard. You speak articulately. You have a very clear voice. That's mostly for commercial. You have to be a little bit more raw, and all these other things that, like, I'm sorry, I realize this, the camera might be in front of the microphone, but it is what it is. Um, and to be broken down as part of acting, I've dealt with that before with other coaches. I've coached with Dave Walsh. If y'all know who that is, if you don't, look him up. He's a fantastic coach. But be prepared to cry. Um, and for some reason, this one just was like really hurtful because I've been getting a lot of auditions for animation projects that I really, really would love to be in. For those of you who know me, or don't know me, I love comic books. I love DC in particular. Like that is part of some of the reasons why I've always loved voiceover as a kid was watching those shows growing up. Batman the animated show, Justice League, Static Shock, all that. And going further, Young Justice, where we're at now, the DC, the as a whole just really means a lot to me. So it was difficult for me to hear some of the feedback from me and not compare myself to some of my peers because it's just like, okay, this person is killing it. And he was just like, that's funny. And to me, I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing a good job. This isn't, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then moves it on. So that leads me to the mental health thing. How difficult is it for those of you out there, I'm curious, who maybe in different spots of your career. Some of you may be starting out. Some of you may be well established. Some of you may be in the spot that I'm in, where it's like, I have these goals and aspirations that I've always had. I want to join the union, but then I feel like it's always one thing or another, like one thing and then you pull, one thing and then you pull. I hear, okay, join the union because then there's a level of security. There's a level of AI protection. And you have AI riders in the non-union space, and I make my clients sign that a lot of times. Um, you know, there's opportunities for stuff that you're not going to get anywhere else in the non-union space. Um, and don't go FICOR or do go FICOR. Like, it feels like there's always something taking you in the opposite direction of what you want. And so I'm just like, well, what is, because I get so analytical. And one of the conversations I've been having a lot is you overthink. I don't know how everyone else feels, even outside of the acting space, but overthinking is so difficult to undo. And so I hear a lot of like, okay, go be a part of the union, but actually don't be part of the union because a lot of the stuff you can make more money in the non-union space. The union is where the big boys and big girls and whoever plays. And that's like top tier acting, and that's where you're going to get good opportunities to be exposed. And but then the pool is really small, and once you do union stuff, you can't do anything else. And you can go FICOR, so you can do both non-union and union, but the union frowns upon that. So how are you actually going to get jobs? And it feels like there's a constant push pull that I'm just like, this is what I want to do. This is my goals. But then I'm like, what actually do I want to do versus like what is the smart thing to do? Because for the other part of mental health, for life updates, I'm married, I have a wife. I found out recently I have a baby on the way. It's my first child. And the uncertainty, the instability of this job, even though I make good money, I do this full time, has you feeling like, well, if I join the union, like, am I gonna, like, she makes good money too. She makes better. She makes better money than I do. She's a dental hygienist. Now she always says I make better money than her, but it's not really that deep. She's a dental hygienist, so she is paid well. And I'm like, how can I rely upon her? And then I go to different thoughts of just like, well, I don't want to go back to every other job I've ever had. I was not happy with. I love this job despite everything that it can throw at you. I feel like it's so wild to find in my late 20s, early 30s, this is what I meant to do. I was always a jock. I was always a sports person, really intelligent, sure, but also like there's an element of just like acting is not me. So for me to be here, I have this thought process sometimes of like, am I really committed to this if I am unwilling to go do another job so that maybe I can work on my craft? I don't need to do that right now, but there's like a thought process on the horizon. Like I got a baby to worry about. You know what I mean? I got a whole human baby to worry about now. Uh, and right now it hasn't fully settled in, but I'm just like, that's my priority now. But how do I marry my priority of my baby and my wife and my family that I'm starting with the career that I want to have and my purpose? Because this is my purpose. And that's like, there's no ethereal thought process that put me in this. Like, this is why I discovered my own. This has made me feel more alive than anything else I've ever done in my life. So I'm really curious as to how everyone else deals with those thoughts. I know earlier I was told in a lot of different places, a lot of my acting coaches, all the different things I've done, stop overthinking. But then, I had a colleague named Jenna Jane. Please go check her out. I've referred her for a couple of things outside of this. She's like, how do I stop overthinking, but also think about the aspects of acting that are important, and I agree with that sentiment. I don't know how to marry those 2. Um, and I'd be really curious what everyone else has to hear, what everyone else has to say about that because I want to hear. Um, and I say that not because it's like there's this big following. Again, this is not supposed to be like engagement farming or anything like that. This is 100% just supposed to be for even the one person that has this thought process or is curious about what's going on with their life and where they want to go. And even if it doesn't hit them, this helps me be creative because being raw, unfiltered me is difficult sometimes. I'm usually only with them with like maybe one person in my life. Um, because for again, a quick aside, this is general mental health. I feel like some of my friendships as of late have waned because I don't feel like I can be my authentic self without there being some sort of pushback and anger on pushback. Because pushback, I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want people and friends who are not going to tell me what I need, who are only going to tell me what I want to hear. But I feel like there's just a big difference between someone telling you something that you need to hear of love and someone who's angry. And that can make a huge difference in how you interact with someone, even if it's your friends, you've known them for years. So like it makes you feel unsafe. And acting to from my understanding, quote unquote, and from where I've gone, the best times I've ever felt safe to do acting is when I've given my best work. And I always feel unsafe at the start of a session. I've done big national TV commercials, um, and for big IPs. And the first time, like you get a lot of people on these sessions. People maybe you guys know, maybe you don't know, but you get a lot of people on these sessions, and it's hard to feel vulnerable. One thing I struggle with is like my personal life. I don't want to be vulnerable with someone just for the sake of being vulnerable, because you have like my thought process. You haven't deserved that. You don't earn that. And I had a coach tell me like it's a defensive attitude, and that's why your reads come out angry, defensive. You're trying to pop through. We have a lot of people on this session like that. Um, it takes me a while to get into the vulnerable spot, and sometimes all it takes is one criticism, and I'm like, I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. How did I book this job? Like, I don't even know what I was doing. I was just winging it. And yet here we are. And like, you know what I mean? I booked, and I say this because I'm just like, you want to look back, but you also want to look forward. I booked national TV gig, a big national TV gig, um, in the worst possible audio quality I could have booked it in. And the read, everyone else in the industry knows this. The audition read you gave was absolutely nothing like what the final product sounded like. And I say all that to say it gives me huge imposter syndrome to the point where I'm just like, I don't feel like I belong in this space, but I know I love it. And as an introvert, it's difficult for me to want to talk to other people about it because I'm just like, are you experiencing this? Then you feel some level of a camaraderie. And again, I'd like to hear from other people, just general mental health and voice actors and actors in general. If this ever reaches you, how do you deal with that imposter syndrome? Because it is so pervasive for me that I'm just like I even see and watch other actors on actors and Michael B. Jordan and all sorts of other actors that are just like, oh, but don't fuck this up and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm just like, yo, I get that, but you're here. And it's not like I'm trying to attain specifically what this person has, but that level of freeness in acting to get to that point, and yet you're still feeling and thinking the same things that I do in that space, my career, the space that I have. So again, my question is like, how do you all deal with imposter syndrome? Because that to me has always been a common thread. It puts my walls up. It doesn't allow me to be free. I only feel free if I'm character acting because then the character is being judged, not me, not Trey or Lauren, if you know me as Lauren. Uh, that is to me my biggest problem. And I have moments where I touch it and I feel like, yeah, that's that acting. That's it right there. And there's other moments where I'm just like flying blind and I'll get like, oh, compliments. And I'm like, why did you compliment me? I have no idea how we got here. And that's where I'm at is how do you guys deal with all this stuff I just talked about on a general level? Because I'm sure other people feel imposter syndrome outside of acting. I know it's very pervasive, specifically in acting. Um, but what do you do to deal with imposter syndrome? How do you deal with um, being overwhelmed overthinking, um, and just the general thought process of I'm not good enough. I should not be here. How did I get here? If anyone else feels that way, because I love that I'm here. I love that, what I mean? I always felt like there's something else to move forward to. And I think it's kind of where I'm stuck at right now. It was like, okay, once I get a good microphone, I'll start doing better. Buy a good microphone. Okay, once I get on this platform, I'll start doing better. Okay, once I get an agent, I'll start doing better. Once I get a nice, fancy Studio Bricks booth, I'll start doing better. And I've accomplished all those things in my career that I either thought would take forever or took longer than I expected or any number of things. And that's just through life as well, like getting married in my 30s, having a child in my 30s, early 30s, to be clear, early 30s. uh, but then there's also like, I shouldn't compare myself. I know people in my life that didn't get married or are getting divorced or can't have kids or trying to adopt or have two kids and then all sorts of different stuff that it feels like it's hard not to compare. And we all know comparison is the thief of joy, but I'm just really, really, really curious. Both to get this out, one, but then two, to hear what everyone has to say about what they do, what helps. I find things help in spades. I find things help here and there, but it's all sort of just like what helps me. Because I feel like like I said, every milestone I've hit in my life, it's always been, and it's a product of capitalism, it's a separate conversation. There always needs to be more. I started out the career thinking, okay, once I start making $100, then I really made it. Once I start making four figures, then I really made it. You know what I mean? I've gone through all these different progressions in my life. I started out making like $5 a script. Again, trash. Don't do that. Um, then I made my first $100. Then I first directed session. All these other stuff going on in life. For those of you who don't know, I was like 165 pounds at the end of a relationship. I was really depressed. It's like, let me go work out, get back to doing martial arts. Now I'm a big, beefy 200-pound man as opposed to 160-pound little scrawny boy. But it doesn't feel like that. I still view myself as a 165-pound man. And that's how I view my career as well. Is okay, now I've achieved national TV commercial, but I still feel like the floundering $5 script person. I got an agent. I have multiple agents. I have a manager, but I still feel like I don't have the right technical wherewithal to know how to turn my game down when I'm in the middle of a session. Yeah, I mean, like I'm in video games now, but I don't even know that I need to do an IMDb Pro to set up my IMDb. And so that just all contributes to imposter syndrome. And so finally, for the last time again, how do y'all deal with this? What do y'all do, if anything? Does this make a difference to you whatsoever in this video? Again, if it only touches one person or even just ask questions, that's fine. Again, it's not engagement farming, but if you have questions or if you have thoughts, please send them my way in any way you know me, whether it be text, email, comments, whatever. Again, this is exclusively just about being artistic and creative. This is not about launching a YouTube channel. This is not about anything other than just I want to help myself and I want to help other people, even if it is just creating a space to talk about this kind of thing. One person is like baseline for like not even sorry. One person is like the high point of like where I would like to hit. Baseline just for me. And so yeah, please let me know. I'm intrigued to see how this goes. And this may be something I keep doing again, just for me. If no one else sees this, so be it. But I appreciate you all listening to me yap. I appreciate y'all listening to me talk, and any feedback y'all have, please do let me know. Bye, y'all.